Hi everyone, Al the Psych here. Have a video for you today. Actually, I'll probably have a couple of parts to this video. It's a review of the book Misbelief by Dan Ariely from 2023. It's about why people get involved in uh, conspiracy theories, and I'm really talking about outlandish types of conspiracy theories. Okay, and a lot of the information I'm presenting is word for word. Some of it's paraphrased. Some of it might be my own take on the information. It's an interesting read. If you want to get all the details, you can have to read the book. Okay, so let's see what the author has said. And he mentions falling down the funnel of misbelief. He says it's made easier via four elements: emotional, cognitive, personality, and social. Now, why are those who subscribe to one misbelief likely to adopt others as well? Well, the answer, according to the author, the answer is mistrust. Okay, so when we mistrust one institution, it becomes easier to mistrust another. So, for example, if Big Pharma is trying to make us sicker, so if you've bought into that, um, what does that say about the government that regulates it? Okay, so you can see how this can kind of, you know, grow feet and run and develop into a cancer then. Now, mentions social utility. It's basically our ability to care about others. Now, social utility may be a more motivating force than self-interest. So if you didn't want to wear a mask during COVID, you may have been swayed to wear one based on social utility. And in my mind, I think like, okay, years ago, when my mom was still alive, I really wasn't getting the flu shot, but then it was pointed out to me like, maybe I'm not so concerned about it, but what if you got the flu and then you were visiting your mom, type of thing? And I thought, yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. So I started getting uh, the flu shot on a regular basis, more as a protection for my mother than for myself. Now I get it on a regular basis as a protection for myself. Okay. Um, Now, people who live in regions with higher intensity of conflicts were more likely to believe in conspiracy theories. Now, this is according to research from Shira Hibel Sila, okay, that author references. Now, stress is cumulative and can make us feel that we are not in charge and don't know what will come next. And stress does not need to be directly linked to the content of the misbelief to shape a person's thinking about the topic. So the idea of losing control or not having enough control is a big issue. Um, Now, supporting a person during times of stress may help prevent the person from going down the funnel of misbelief. He uses that term, funnel of misbelief. So if we can make the person feel seen and supported, it goes a long way towards slowing the spiral of grasping for answers and control. So the author is basically saying, try to help the person early in the stressful period. This will make it easier to assist the person in avoiding going down the funnel of misbelief. It's real easy to just kind of confront your friend or your family member about, some outrageous conspiracy theory or misbelief. But sometimes maybe a different tact is necessary if you don't want them to fall down that rabbit hole. Okay. Um, when we can't control or influence the stresses in our environment, when we feel helpless in the face of other people or events, we are driven to seek emotional relief in other ways. Uh, what is a relatively easy way to reduce the uncomfortable feeling of being out of control? Um, it's simple. Find explanations for what is happening and find someone to blame. Okay, so it doesn't matter if the explanations are accurate, let alone true. We just need them to provide some degree of comfort. Okay. Okay, just to make myself clear. So, if I'm stressed out, I'm not getting support from my group, and a group that has some outrageous misbeliefs is very comforting to me. Well, I'm looking for some comfort. They might be a group I will navigate toward. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Now, misbelievers may be drawn by sensational headlines and storytelling, not necessarily facts. And most people are drawn by this. I mean, I think I've done a video on that. These big sensational negative type headlines, people are more drawn to. Um, Now, emotional elements of the funnel of misbelief. The experience of unpredictable stress can create a feeling of lack of control. Stress negatively impacts cognitive functioning and decision making. Resilience is increased by community support. Okay. Now, under compounding stress, we can begin to feel as if we are being treated harshly. Okay, so this leads us to seek answers and ways to regain a sense of control and to find a villain to blame. Okay, similar to the relief of an OCD sufferer. Okay. Now, individuals that present information often do so through the use of storytelling. People tend to connect with storytelling. You'll see this, during political campaigns. People will talk about some story, and they're hoping to connect with people. So anyway, storytelling is used, and using outrageous terms to trigger our limbic system, our emotional system, and shut down our prefrontal cortex, our thinking capacity, and applying anecdotes as opposed to thorough research. There's always anecdotes. Yeah, but in terms of research, and yeah, maybe something happened to one person out of a million, but this one person all of a sudden becomes huge in terms of information, even though it shouldn't in terms of actual research. We can protect ourselves by remembering this and double checking information and getting in a relaxed state before making a decision. Remember, we're going to think a little more clearly if we're in a relaxed state. Now, remember, when double checking information, not to get caught up in biased searching, in which we only go looking to confirm what we were presented. This is confirmation bias. So we don't want to go looking for what we were presented rather than looking for information that might contradict the information that was presented. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So for example, if you're being told vaccines cause autism, you want to avoid doing a search that is phrased like vaccines cause autism. Instead, you want to do a search that says vaccines do not cause autism. Okay, we want to make sure we check all the areas that are maybe counter to what we're being told. We don't want to just stay in this myopic way of thinking. We don't want this confirmation bias. We can go ahead and find a lot of information that'll back up what we believe while we're ignoring a lot of other information that might be out there. Okay. Illusory truth effect. The more we encounter a piece of information or misinformation, the more intensely the piece of information is coded in our brains as familiar and true, and the stickier it becomes. Now, Joseph Goebbels might have said this, the author says he might have said this: repeat a lie often enough and it becomes the truth. I mean, that's huge. Repeat a lie often enough and it becomes the truth. Also, our brains tend to process affirmative rather than negative. So, like in hypnosis, when I do hypnosis, self-hypnosis, in a hypnosis, you wouldn't say to yourself, I'm not anxious, because basically you're telling yourself, I'm anxious. That's what the brain's going to be processing. You would say, I'm relaxed, or I'm getting relaxed, something along those lines. So, You don't want to fall down the funnel of false information. You wouldn't say vaccines don't kill people, but rather you would say vaccines save people's lives. Okay. Now, if you think you know everything about vaccines and you're not a virologist, then my guess is that you really don't know a lot about viruses. Okay, and I don't. I have to go by what the experts are saying. Yet people often think they know more than they do. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Where you can blow hard about how much you know, but you might not really know that much. Okay. Now we all fall into this trap sometimes. Okay. For example, how does a car work? Well, if you said, well, you turn the key and it starts, or you press a button and it starts, well, there's a lot more to it than that. It's just so easy to fall into this trap of, thinking you know so much when actually there's probably a lot of information there that you and I don't know. Now, Benjamin Lyons and his group found that 75% of Americans overestimate their ability to detect fake news. Even worse, those with lower factual knowledge were more willing to share false content on social media. Huge information here, okay? Interesting book, okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to stop here, and this will be part one, then I'll do part two. That will conclude the rest of the book. And again, I'm just giving you some gems and tidbits here. There's so much more in the book. I thought it was a real interesting read. So that's it for now. Thank you.